Hi, I'm John, and welcome to JPsCreations. Today, we're going to be making some wooden hinges. Now, if your first thought was a living hinge, well, it is flexible and it is wood, but very, very weak. They can get damaged easily from too much force or from bending too tightly, and then it's garbage. And nobody wants that. So, instead, we're going to be making a stronger hinge that will be using a axle that goes through the plywood that also has special shapes on the hinge pieces, just like so. And those hinge pieces align the pieces of the wood and create very strong hinges. This one, for instance, is with me trying to break it as much as I can, but they don't give in. However, it does have where it pins, and from that point I can break it with the use of physics and a fulcrum lever, but it only breaks because it is a movement arm to break it. And as you notice, the piece of wood is still nice, stout, and strong. And these pieces actually rotated and broke to break out of there. They could be glued back in to re-improvise it back together. And as you saw, it had 90 degrees of, or it would stop at a 90 degree and had 180 degrees of travel. And that hinge can also be used similar in where it stops at the angle, as these are. Could be made into treads, chains, things of that sort. There's all kinds of stuff a person could do with them. I'm gonna do it. Oh, there it is. And with this one, it has 180 degrees of travel, which is from here to there. However, that's as far as it goes that way or that way. And I'd thought, what if I wanted to be able to put those two pieces of wood to each other? So I came up with this design, which is the same thing, but it has a piece that is shaped like that there, just, one of them, in each of those spots to facilitate those two axles being able to rotate. So it's two axles that do 360 degrees. Each one does 180, and together they do off-put 360. Isn't that cool? And you might be wondering how strong these are. They use the same type of jointery after all. These ones I was able to break since they're a bit less hinges than that one. And as you can see, it actually broke that axle. That's rare. That usually doesn't happen. Normally it breaks the wood will fail first. This one I don't know if I can get. Ah, there we go. Finally got it to break. It broke the wood open there, and they're stout, way stronger than the living hinges for both pulling force and also for taking impacts or any kind of force to the edge. It's all side end grain, super strong. In today's video, I'm going to be showing those hinges inside of a big panel, a couple of them actually, that open up to sit onto the table as a dungeon master screen, or possibly as a menu a person could print onto the different panels to have a menu that would start something of this sort with a cool laser engraving or printing here, and then open up to reveal the cool ass menu. I don't know what I'm going to actually end up doing with this one specifically. I may just use it as a backdrop for videos, that way I can block out stuff, sightlines, all of that good stuff. But today I'm gonna show you the file for it and walk you through building one of these bad boys and how to steal the hinge design out of the file so you can put it into whatever you happen to want to have flipping hinges and, well, flippable hinges. Same difference. Flippable hinges. And you're free to use the design in whatever project you happen to want to, and even if you want to make them for sale. So, hey there! Welcome to the file! Here is what those look like finished, you know. I snapped some photos and threw them in the file for reference. So I'll go ahead and drop those away, and this is how the file should start if all of the layers copy correctly. If they don't, you just would have to hide all of the layers except for the instructions and then just add layers as you go. Speaking of, instructions are to add layers, and that means adding the visibility. And step 1, place all the blue pieces as above. And when it's referring to the blue pieces, that means from the cut pages, which are on the next few pages. The blue ones are the bottom, the red ones are the top, and then the other pieces that are clear right now are the hinge pieces. So you need them, but they're not color-coded in the file. You get all of the blue pieces laid out nice and flat, which would be this side, and you lay those out on your table, and then get all of the hinge pieces and start putting them together. This is how they go together. They should be symmetrical in the way that the hinges sit together as shown, and then the axles are toothpicks that are cut to size. A person could do them with a laser if they were doing the whole file that way. Personally, I like to just use a pair of wire cutters and trim them to size. This is the shape of the holes that will need to be made to fit the hinges. So if you're going to use these in a different file of your own creation, that's the parts that will be the jigs of the hinges. These ones happen to be tilted at angles because the panel is cut at an angled, it is a trapezoid with angles on these sides that pin out. That way it can prop itself up as a cool screen. The blue slots are this bottom half of the hinge, whereas the red side is the top half of it as the pieces get pressed into the correct places, which is step number 3. There we go. Step number 3 is to put all of those hinges where they belong and to place them all in place. And then you're gonna spread around glue all over on the flat parts of the surfaces where they will be mating with the parts from the outside, which is step 5 of adding those on, which is these pieces. And you may notice that the inside and outside have a slotting that is offset like so to allow the hinge to go between and interlock in them That's the key to this hinge setup, is that right there. The interlocking S style of the hinge to fit in between the two layers, align them, and to be super strong. Once you have the glue put on and it all assembled together, the next step is to get a big board that's nice and clean that you can lay over it and stack a bunch of heavy crap on top of it. It's an improvised tool, a caul, I believe they are called in the woodworking world. You could coat it with saran wrap or something of the sort if you're worried about glue squeeze out, especially if you are using... I don't have any example. If you're worried about glue squeeze out, which is especially important if you're using a woodworking type of glue, which would be a polyvinyl acrylate, PVA glue, squeeze out's a problem. Whereas I use super glue, not a problem with that squeeze out. And if you did everything right, they should come out looking pretty much like this. And once it's all done, and if you were to make this, you'd have one that looks just like this guy. Then your next decision is to decide what you're going to do with it. This one, I think I may end up painting a side green, so I can use it as a green screen for objects, so I could place them, as my head is, and rotate them with the camera and whatnot, and get some really pretty items. Another idea is to turn it into a menu for a restaurant or something of the sort. One of my next possible things that I want to do with these hinges in this design style is make some board games. However, I don't have any board games myself, so I have to find somebody who wants me to design them a wooden core board game that folds out for all of its pieces and has elaborate printings on them. Now you might be like, elaborate printings? What kind of elaborate printings could a person put onto a wood core and laser cut? What I mean about printing onto the pieces after it's already built, this is an example of something that is printed onto a wooden core and then laser cut. This one has lamination on it, which is what I would suggest if a person did want fancy folding wooden restaurant menus. And if you're interested in learning how these were made, make sure to check out the Expert Advanced Printed Minifigures tutorial. And be sure to subscribe to see future videos using these hinges like these here on JPsCreations.